of these facilities on water, on electrical use, and on the environment. The reason for this study is that I think when we passed some of the legislation, that the one data center that's being proposed, just started, alone is equal to all the assessed value of all the real estate and business property already in the county. So the numbers are high, and I've had a discussion with
gentlemen of the House. I appreciate Representative Delaney working with us on this. Look, the reality is whatever your opinion is on these things, it's important to understand the data behind it, the facts. So I think this will be a good process to get us there, so I'd encourage you to support it.
Further discussion on the amendment? Voted. Tally the roll call shows 95 voting ayes, 0 voting no. The amendment is adopted. Are there further motions to amend? House motion, Representative Rowe.
Implementation of Senate Bill 4 as it pertains to libraries from July 1, 2026 to January 1st, 2029. And this basically will allow our libraries to fully understand how SEA is going to impact their revenues before we then lay on some additional structural changes.
Senate Bill 4, Amendment 4. Mr. Speaker.
We have a motion, a second. Representative Campbell, you recognize.
That there are less than 50 cities and towns in the entire state, larger than this unincorporated area. That does overlap our city, but the unincorporated part, there are less than 50 cities and towns. It's got over 20,000 people. did put an amendment in legislation that's going to allow us to get to 20 cents, which is still pretty low for this very large township, which is going to allow us to have another firefighter. $0.17, which we're at 14 cents levy, to the 20 cents that was amended. We want to get to 40 cents, but we're willing to get to 30 cents so that we can grow with this county. To my city, and I am paying a higher amount of taxes to make sure that, I have emergency services and fire services in my community that covers my area and my family and my home. But now, if so that they're able to provide their own fire and safety area for that area, I ask for your support.
Further discussion on the amendment. Representative Thompson to speak to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A higher rate immediately. But you know what? Long term, that needs to happen. I can't dispute that. And so with that, I'd ask you to oppose this, but as I've assured her, once we get this because here's what happens. Let's assume her AV next year doubles. You know what happens to your rate? It cuts in half, doesn't it? Exactly right. And so what the provision does with the 20 cents, it may go to 10 next year. That's the failing of the Thank you. And
Further discussion on the amendment? Would the author like to Chair sees none. The author like to close? She closes.
Thank you, Representative Thompson. I appreciate that you have heard us and amendment for now and appreciate your help.
At the request of the amendment's author, it is withdrawn. Are there further motions to amend? Representative Delaney, House motion?
designed to make sure we know what happens to the real estate assets of the IEDC, which are substantial. We've heard thousands of acres in the Lebanon or the LEAP project, and an average price of $75,000. I just think we need an ongoing information as to whether
agencies, as well as it doesn't divulge any, I would say, confidential information, given that it's kind of after the fact, but it's data that we need to make better decisions going forward. So I appreciate the amendment and appreciate your support. Thank you.
Roll call's been requested. Second will be granted. There. Have all the members voted? Tally the roll. Roll call shows 94 members.
Senate Bill 4, Amendment 9. Mr. Speaker,
Have a motion? Barely got the second in. Representative Campbell, you're recognized to present your amendment. I didn't hear anything until somebody said that.
Binding review under the MLGQ threshold. It should apply this. We should be applying that same guardrail that already exists in Indiana Code 6-1.1-17-20.4, which includes a on how much a library's budget could be reduced if it meets or exceeds the 50% of the maximum levy growth quotient. Without guardrails, a library's budget could be cut dramatically or even reduced to zero. It protects against ensures the accountability without enabling elimination of services. It provides time for responsible operational adjustments. With this 10% guardrails, it's going to be able to give libraries the opportunity to and service. And this is about balance. Adding this existing 10% limitation does not eliminate oversight. It ensures that the oversight is applied in a reasonable and sustainable way. Asking that we are consistent in this language and applying this 10% guardrail that's already in code, that it apply to this new language. And I ask you for your support.
Further discussion on the amendment. Representative Prescott to speak to the amendment.
Oppose the amendment.
Further discussion of the amendment. Chair sees none. The authorized right to close. She closes.
This guardrail is already in place, as I mentioned, in code, and it is just carrying that guardrail over to the new language for binding.
Senate Bill 4, Amendment 12, Mr.
We have a motion and a second. Representative Delaney, you're recognized to present your amendment.
I was reading the newspaper over the weekend and found out that, unfortunately, some tariffs had been imposed without legal justification. That we then apply to get the money back. Many companies are doing that already. I think it's just responsible on the part of the state government not to make what amounts to an involuntary contribution to the federal treasury. So that's all this does, is say if we paid it when we didn't have to, when we shouldn't have because of a
Getting into I'll just say a national issue that probably more on the political side of the topic. There's a lot of unknowns right now, but I'm sure we will be back here, some of us anyway, next year, that we'll have an opportunity.
Second.
I'm headstrong, but I wanted to get this in front of us. I hope you'll vote for this because we may see more of this. It's going to be very complicated. I think Representative Snow is right about that. There's going to be all kinds of litigation and compromise. But I just want to establish the principle that if we erroneously have been charged as a state,
Have all the members voted? Tally the roll.
Senate Bill 4, Amendment 5. Mr. Speaker, I move that engrossed Senate Bill 4 be amended to read.
We have a motion and a second. Representative Hamilton, you're recognized to present your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. I, too, was thinking about the tariff. Moment after Friday's ruling demands a response from this chamber. Let's measure the economic pain and do what we can to make it right. This amendment creates the Tariff Impact Mitigation Tax Credit, and it directs the Office of Management and Budget to contract policies we've been reading about. We could be talking about at least $7 billion coming back into households, into our families' wallets. $7 billion, that's real relief for our families. Let's be a leader among states for our families. Let's fight to help them.
Bringing this to us. I'm going to ask that you oppose the amendment for now. The main reason is that it does create a new tax credit, and we've not been doing that this year so far, or as much as we can. But also, again,
Like to close? She waives it. The question is on the roll call is requested. Will be granted when the machine is open. All those will in favor vote aye. Those opposed will vote no. Have all the members voted? Tally the roll. Roll call shows 29 voting aye, 66 voting nay. The amendment is defeated. Are there further motions to amend? House motion, Representative Pryor. Question is second. Representative Pryor, you recognize to present your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What this amendment is doing is increasing the wagering amount up to $1,200, the machine will pay you out right there. Someone will come over, someone doesn't need to come over and cash you out. The challenge is we have people who get paid, and $2,000, they're no longer going to be eligible for tips. So it was going to increase the amount to $2,000, and what I'm saying is let's increase it to $1,300, because what also will happen is we're depending on to $2,000, making sure that they're paying taxes. So I would ask for your support of this amendment to make sure that we're capturing as many taxes as dollars, and then also to support those individuals who rely on tips for their income as well, to make sure.
Law. And so you're going to have now two different types of levels, and it's going to be a burden on these casinos. It's going to be a burden. And so what we've done in committee is couple with federal law. It
Mr. Speaker, the chairman is correct. It does couple it with the federal government, but I'd just like to, maybe you all are not aware, but right now we're not coupled with the federal government. So there's no change with it other than to be a fiscal hit, a financial hit to people who rely on tips. So if you want to support people who are relying on tips for income, then this is something that you should consider supporting. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question is on the Have all the members voted? Tally the roll. Roll call shows 29 voting aye, 60. On second reading, Senate Bill 27.
Senate Bill 27, a bill for enactment.
Bill is ready for amendment, recommitment, or engrossment. House motion, Representative Thompson.
waivers and when we apply to the feds. And it now says before you award a contract is what the amendment does. Because some of those in federals, or when we apply, don't need any type of approval. And so this is what it does. It also then has a I'd appreciate your support. Thank you.
Further discussion on the amendment? Speaker Houston to speak on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House. I support Chairman Thompson's amendment. I appreciate him cleaning up the work of the sponsors' shoddy work. So thank you, Chairman Thompson.
Senate Bill 78, Representative Teschka. Chair hands down on second reading, Senate Bill 78.
Senate Bill 78, a bill.
The bill is ready for amendment, recommitment, or engrossment. House motion, Representative Teschka.
Somewhat simple adjustment to the bill to allow for devices that are school sanctioned but not school provided. We had allowed that to go into perpetuity. This essentially just sets a shot clock on that. Again, the underlying bill with that, I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Representative Delaney. Will the sponsor yield? He yields. Or author of the amendment? He yields.
Is aimed primarily at cellular devices like cell phones, smartwatches, those sorts of things. It did call out in particular in the definition of cellular device also tablets and laptops. And so this contemplates those specific devices, tablets, laptops, those sorts of things.
Even to use a laptop, is that right?
That would be, yeah, correct. This is in contemplation of if this is necessary for instructional time work to be completed, and there are some schools out there that are asking students or giving the option for students to bring their from-home device.
Going to go out?
Well, the whole piece here expires on 2028. So
That
yes.
takes care of all this. So at that moment in time, any school or teacher could have a device required, but it would have to be provided by the school.
Aye. Those opposed? Amendment is adopted. Are there further motions to amend? House motion, Representative Baining.
Superintendent was allowed to give access during an emergency. What we ended up doing is we took that out totally, and so we're actually just inserting a phrase right now that says a superintendent authorize or an individual
To speak to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would urge the body to accept this amendment. It is really just a cleanup and reiterating what the committee's intent was with regard to this bill. So please accept the amendment.
Further discussion? The chair sees none.
Senate Bill 78, Amendment 3.
We have a motion and a second. Representative Hamilton, you're recognized to present your amendment.
Thank you. And supports better learning outcomes. But this bill, as written, applies only to public and charter schools. And we now direct hundreds of millions of public dollars, of course, to private schools through vouchers. My amendment is simple. If a school receives public money, it should be subject to the students' protections we're creating. When this bill passes, I urge you to vote yes.
Further discussion of the amendment. Representative Teske to speak to the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This body has a long history of not applying these types of things to non-public schools. It is the proverbial requiring that their students not have cellular devices throughout the school day. Many in my district are, and so I certainly agree that that these students deserve a distraction-free day as well. And I think that ultimately they are and will continue to get that. And so I would urge you to defeat this amendment.
It's good for charters, it's good for vouchers, it's good for everyone.
Further discussion? Representative Hamilton, chair sees none. Representative Hamilton, you may close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're talking about schools that receive public dollars. story. A few years ago, I toured a business in my district that provides secure entryways for commercial buildings. They had just received a phone call from a private school asking for a certain type of secure feature provide money to by not making sure they have safe buildings and safe policies for their students. This is a perfect example of an opportunity for us to fix that wrong. Please vote yes to protect more of our students, in fact, all of the students who receive public dollars.
The question Have all the members voted? Tally the roll. Roll call shows 42 voting aye, 51 voting nay. The amendment is Bill 88 on second reading.
Senate Bill 88, a bill for enactment